Hey guys, it's Al from Altruistic Channel, and this actual segment is actually dedicated towards those ascendant masters or the leading edge of the ascension process. And I basically wanted to kind of touch base on people I have not yet met, but I'm being driven towards specifically talking to you if this resonates. And what I'm finding is that now that there are enough of us publicly seen, that we can see momentum and we can physically see the movement of the collective conscious expansion. What are we going to do about it now? And I'm being driven towards kind of taking a role in opening the discussion. So I've run into a lot of our sisters and brothers out there who are, and when I say sisters and brothers, I don't mean like a fraternal thing, or I just mean like people within our sphere that have gone through the process and who now are searching for their roles and not quite understanding what it is that means. And because it's not going to be necessarily always lateral to the 3D experience, I'm wondering what we all collectively would like to do to help them as well. It's one thing to lead the herd through the gate, but what do we do to entertain them, or what do we do during the process? What's the best approach to getting them to a place where they understand that when they say them versus us, it's not a separation, it's just a matter of frequency. And how to honor them while still guiding them. And then what do they do if they feel an innate need to help the collective conscious in a leadership capacity? And I'm finding myself drawn towards essentially putting together a nonprofit organization that helps guide people. But my concern with that is everyone ascends differently because everyone's experience is going to be different. So someone's intention may start off well and good, but in the end, as they ascend and go further, may lose interest in the topic point and ascend, or maybe not even have the choice, but just ascend up and have to let go of the body. What happens to the organization after that? And though I trust the collective consciousness to govern it, my question is, how do we then operate this? Now, I don't understand necessarily my exact role in all of this. I have no ego in this. There's no vested interest in financial gains directly from this organization. It is specifically just to get everybody to a point where they are able to kind of get to know each other a little bit better. A place that instead of just looking at each other through a lens to the YouTube world or on print or however your communication specialty is manifesting itself. It's how do we do this in physical form to help them even that much more arrive to their destination safely? Do we open up townships, and how do we do that? And do we globalize with all of us that are already awakened? I mean, it doesn't seem like there's many of us because there's only a certain amount of people that are ascending in a process by which they're okay to be publicly known. I'm just one of those people, and it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just part of my calling. It's something that I signed on for. Having said that, some of the people that are going to ascend have literally been born to be the leader or the spokespeople for this. People that are going to have to go through hell and back 6 times worse than we did. And mine was brutal. Mine lasted for almost 20 years. Actually, if you look at it, basically since birth. I firmly believe that my ascension began from the moment I got here. There's too many coincidental things that tell me that I was born to ascend, but not just there. Like, there was a reason for all of that. I had to close a lot of cosmic circles this time. I mean, everything has come crashing down, and I annihilated myself in the process. And it leads me to understand that there are people that are going to go through far worse than I did. And I'm talking about from rape to molestation to the pain of being betrayed by a parent, to being left orphaned, to your parents dying, obviously orphaned, to the brutality of drug addiction, to all of the things and owning it, being a part of a cult, and the cult persecution and the pagan principles of people targeting you. I mean, all of this has happened, and I'm only 40. There are others that are going to have even harder lives than we did. And though we're the leading edge, if you will, of the ascension process, we're here now, and I'm fully here now. And so what do we do with them, us, when we get to this point? There are mediums out there that I find very endearing. I find truth and it resonates with me. Do they then take a higher place in our minds to help us govern the collective mood? Because they seem to be in unison. If you look at them carefully and if you investigate it like I have, to understand a greater sense of the community, you start to find that all of them are actually on the same wavelength. The ones that are and you can tell whose specialty is what. And so as we do that, do we then now start talking about the conversation of specialties? What is the skill set for each member of the collective? Because no matter where you're at in the process, if you're already awakening, then you're a leader of some kind. You have some strength that is going to help the collective vibration move up. Mine is the thing that I'm waiting on right now is something that may not happen this lifetime, and that is my twin flame meeting me. We've met in physical form, and he knows who he is, and I know who he is, and he knows who I am, and back and forth. And it's a guy. But we met at the worst possible moment in life. We were so far down in our addictions and into our ego and into our sphere of understanding being so limited. We met at the worst possible time, and though everyone is right in the ascension process and everybody who's awakened talks to the fact that that it is a battle, we still have not identified the fact that you can meet your twin flame and probably are going to meet them at the worst possible moment of your life, because that's where the one place where you go back to zero. Otherwise, you're basically playing with air. You're essentially saying to yourself that you're going to meet your twin flame at the same time, in the same wavelength, at the same energy time. It's almost impractical. The divine would have to step in, and though the divine is very present, masculine or feminine, the point is that more than likely, a lot of us will meet at the worst possible moment in our life. So how do you then do what I've naturally been able to do, which is not repress your feelings, but own it, and I mean go through it, and go through it harsh. And how do you then hold on to the faith that it will balance out at all when the other person is not there yet, has not gone to that point yet? And these are things that I would like to start engaging. But my concern at the moment is not so much out of fear or anything, but actually driven by a sense of community. We're so fragmented in our focus that I'm trying to figure out how to unify us so that there's an actual platform as opposed to a theoretical. Excuse me, air. Because I'm finding that this leadership that's emerging, there's specific people that jump out to me even in saying that, and including myself, which are head and shoulders above anyone else, and they just stand alone. These are people that we should probably cultivate something out of, and the reason I believe that is because even in the physical world, the super intellectual, even if they're not awake yet, have specific needs and specific things that need to be nourished in them. And so the same would be applied in this level, because you still have to evolve. And so if we can help their evolution or our evolution and the frequency unify and make a more cohesive front, then I feel like we're going to be in the right place when we start moving the bigger herd through the mass awakening. And that's a big, heavy burden to bear. But I'm finding that in myself, it's very natural. I'm not feeling the weight of it like I was. I'm feeling very comfortable with the fact that I could lead us into a problem, because it's divine. It's going to be divinely dealt with. And so if it's a hurdle that I led us into, there was a reason I needed to lead that. But helping people understand that is a personal path, but yet not really, because there is strategy to be learned in a collective unit. There are things that we need to engage that maybe cultivate a better understanding of what it means to resonate at this frequency, and what do we do with the frequency going forward. It should not be lost on anybody watching this that's drawn to this leadership role in the ascension process, that you still probably hang on to certain emotions that are very physical, because you understand that you will be balancing between in and out of that frequency, and that you may be challenged to stand up and represent the collective, and that you should be damn right serious about the fact that you may have to be a dick to do it, to defend your place, but it should not be your first place to go. intellect and wisdom to understand the frequency that it's aimed at you is probably your first bet, because then you'll understand intention from that frequency. And as we evolve, I'm starting to notice like little direct paths that show up that are like actual like rhythm, like an actual trajectory aimed at you. And so we learn to do that and how to operate within that. We can identify what is problematic and what is not, and better help the collective move, because it will not interfere with the overall vibration. We can learn to absorb it if we know where it's from. And so these conversations are things I want to engage. And so as we go through this, and as I find more and more amazing people, and amazing spirits, I should say, of energy that have gone through this with me that I've never met before until now, I'm finding that we can maybe better bring this together. And so I'm asking you guys, I have no place in doubt that I'm part of this, but I am not pompous enough to believe that I matter in the overall. I just know that my task and my life purpose is to expand the communication and the dissemination of truth for every individual on the planet, whether they're part of this or not. My task is very specific. It's to believe in faith, to have faith in yourself, and to make people unite in their faith of something greater than themselves. And in order to do that, part of my role is ascending at a really, really quick pace from time to time. When my things shift, they shift like almost immediately. And my ability to manifest when I'm actually aiming is literal. It happens right away. How do you then tell a child born into ascension, or that has already ascended, born, how to control it if we haven't really talked about how we deal with stuff? So I'm kind of just in that place where I want to kind of start preparing things, and I want everybody to come to the same terminology and to the same place. In this space that I'm creating right now, on my channel, on Altruistic Channel, if you enter the Ascension Master or Leadership section, understand a couple of things. One, your intention needs to be clear of any personal motivation or ego-based driven type of approach. This is a space for the collective to objectively look at the grander design for us and how we best help each other move collectively forward. This is not a place for you and your personal vested interest to find out about our movement. The rest of my channel is dedicated towards that. You can do all you want. This is a space that if you enter it, you will need to own your shit. And you will need to understand that I will have no problem, or anybody in this space will have no problem calling you out on your shit if it somehow starts to mess with our frequency. This is taking ownership of your role in life. And once you've done that, the evolution of that role and what you plan on helping, or how you plan on helping the grander design. This is a place of strength and not victimization. If you have not ascended yet, or you still have problem areas where that you do not know how to resolve, that doesn't mean you have to have resolved it, because it's ascension. You're still working the system. And you will be tolerant. This is not a place to stand on your on sort of pedestal, because I will knock the pedestal down. There's no one more important than anyone else. Everyone just has functions. And so as we move forward in my area, in this space, in my website, and in my vision for whatever this is, it's not even mine. I lend it to the collective. So that means that I represent a collective way of looking at it. Understand that it's not personal if I say to you, knock it off. Or someone says it to me, I can't. This space is for proactive approaches to resolving conflict within the context of the collective, because there will still be problems. You cannot, there's no utopian promise here. In fact, anybody who's been ascending understands that the longer the journey, the more baggage you've had, and the grander the lesson is. So you understand things above and beyond what even other people who have ascended do, because that was your process. You were supposed to lead. The leading edge of this is now at a place, I think, healthy enough to start engaging what to do. But enter this space in the right context. You are here to do grander things than yourself. Leave your ego and your judgment out of here. Because even if someone starts to falter in their ascension, it is their ascension. And we are united the moment that they awaken. Once they awaken and they're through the ascension, they're part of this. So understand that we are no better than anyone else, and that anything you aspire to do within this space is just to help the collective conscious move and to make it grow and expand. And one of the things that I want to point out is pushing your personal faith over everybody else's faith is not an approach that I want on this on this site. And the reason is because this. In the end, my goal is all people, everyone on the planet is supposed to ascend, because it's time. It's what the divine energy wants of us. So to do that, we may have to allow them to be them. And they may choose not to come with us, but they're still going to have to get to a place of faith. Because whatever their path is and whatever they choose to do, it will be layered with their own ascension, whether they believe it or not. Do you see my point? So do not come on here and push just your personal messaging. Push our collective purpose. Push the intention of us to move forward and to expand our movement. Great, yes. But it does not step above someone else's faith. Everyone here is able to believe in God or Buddha or whatever they want to believe in, and understand that from the get-go. Whether they refer to it as Gaia or the universe or the divine does not matter to me. What matters to me is they are at a place where they have ascended, and now they're asking for direction and understanding their purpose or role defining them within that context. And that's kind of what we should be working on, in my opinion. So that's all I want to say. I'm running on a tangent, basically, but there was a lot to say in this initial setup. So please understand the intention is pure here. There's no money that's going to come out of what I envision in this aspect. This particular section, like I said, is very specific to key people who are interested in it, because I think I'm looking for my team. I have this gut instinct. My intuition is telling me that I have a team that I'm supposed to be working with. And as I start, I'm trying to find a way to reach them. And so I think that is affecting a lot of us in whatever capacity we're here to work in. And so as we do this, understand that no one's better than anyone else. And that's the first point of ascension. When you get there, you understand that you're no better than anybody else, but that your process may have been different. And that the bigger it has been and the more in-depth it has been, maybe your task is larger in the scope of what people see. And that's hard to deal with because you're playing it out. When my twin flame denied me, it was very public. And I barely batted an eye because I was at the right place for it. Now that I'm possibly waiting for, however long it's going to be, it may not work and it may not happen. And I had to be okay with that. But it was very public. So it set me up to take the responsibility of doing this and creating this specific space. If you're brave enough to step into these roles, understand that you are seen in public eye. Because you have already created that. Your path has already been drawn to that. If you're finding my site, then you are already at a level where you have been putting yourself out there. Because the internet itself, self-running, the ultimate of a great system that the divine has created, will guide you to us. And then if you're ready to step into that light, understand that there is a lot here. A lot that has not been dealt with yet. And that it needs to be compartmentalized and broken down and structured and built, and then kind of foreshadows what will happen. But we need to come to it in a unified way, a council, if you will. Without anyone, you know what I mean? Like without it being, without anybody being able to come to us and say that you're doing this for this motivation. It's not that we won't have motivation, because we're allowed to have motivation if it's for the grander good. But what I'm saying is, though, keep it clean. Keep this space clean and free of intent, because that's the only way we're going to be able to get everybody on board with all of their different universes coming together in a collective unit. There's still going to be the assholes in traffic who, no matter what, are geared to get angry with that trigger. You cannot absolve that trigger for them, because it's part of what they agreed to do. That's part of their contract, is they have to be that consistency of having that, because it serves a grander design that we may not know. And understand that the anger the passion that I have is a twofold. I'm super passionate about our cause, and I'm super passionate about getting leaders around the world to engage leader responsibility. But I'm also super angry at times because I get really frustrated. It's the yin to my yang. With all of the advances that we go, I may go to anger, and it's a survival thing for us as a collective. I understand it now. It was very frustrating when I was going through it without understanding it fully. But some people will need to keep a little bit of that semblance, because it keeps them anchored and keeps us anchored to what's really going on. Remember, once we get into a tunnel vision about just the collective, if we finally get to a safe place where we have done what we needed to do, That's the next wave. That's what evolution does. It starts again, and it sends a different pattern or whatever it is. So understand that some of us are going to keep things that you may collectively find a negative, but you're going to have to honor the fact that divine understands what they're doing, and that they understand that these people are key and have specific roles, and you'll know them when you see them, because I've only noticed it in myself and one other person that I've met so far, that I saw the trigger and I immediately was like, oh, okay, wait, no, that's built in, and we'll talk about that, right? That's where we want to engage. So I want to talk about all this stuff with other people. The thing is that we have no real way of, in my opinion, of doing it other than websites. So it's in just reading it or in the video world. But how about actually dialogue and maybe, like actually engaging each other in live streams or whatnot? Especially like mediums and stuff. I want to get your feedback back, because I feel like you represent a grander sense of the collective landscaping. And I kind of want to get your perspective. So please subscribe to this. Like I said, I will be presenting this as part of the channel. I will not direct anybody to this area. It'll be something that we spread word of mouth. Mainly not because I don't believe in fear, and it's not an ego thing. It's about the fact that I find that people find themselves on their own path naturally, and to let them guide themselves. If it attracts them, there's a reason. So let's just keep that on the down low, if you will. About what this is actually about, right? But if you're here, then understand that you have a grander role to play, maybe. So that's basically what I'm going to say. I hope you guys are having a great day. I will pour a lot more into this section, because I have like a whole list of things that I've been thinking about that I know that you probably have been thinking about too. So let's just engage it, but subscribe. The intention of why you're subscribing is irrelevant to me. Just support the cause, if you will, because I feel like by doing this and by us liking each other and subscribing to each other, we're building that community that we need, and what I'm striving for and what you're striving for. So whether you necessarily agree with the message that's coming to you at the time through that person should be irrelevant at some degree, because you want to create the space that you can all be different, because that's what this is all about. So that's all I'm going to say. It's Al for Altruistic Channel. I am sweating profusely because I'm feeling the heat of the light that is shining on me, and although I'm comfortable with it, I still have 2 days left of the last cosmic cycle. Innately, intuitively, I know this. I have ended my job as a full-time bartender, which was a great relaxing point in my life. I needed to step back from my training and client services and management experience to kind of reflect and get through my own baggage. And so this has been a very, very cathartic experience, and I'm going to miss part of it. But it also presents a way to continually get at me and trigger me. And so part of my evolution is to acknowledge the triggers and be proactive in my approach. So I'm still going to bartend every now and then as a step in and fill in. But that cycle is done. And so I have to let go of that, and I'm stepping away into something I don't know. I have no job or whatever lined up at the moment, and my life has been in flux anyway. And so now it's time to take my divine path and just walk. And so for the next 2 days, I will be finishing that cycle, finishing up any loose ends. And I know for some reason, intuitively, everybody keeps saying that we collectively are at this road, but for some reason I know that my time of what used to be is ending, like right now. And the shift happened quite quickly, but I've never been more sure of it in my life. And so as I step into something that I believe could be nothingness, that's why I believe the king of no kingdom, is because I know that the kingdom is there, but I just need to get through the next 2 days and walk through that door and walk right into it. And so that's my path. So everyone's path is different, right? But anyway, I hope you guys are having a blessed day, and I will be putting a lot more information out there for the next couple days, but I probably won't be live action until I begin the new cycle fully there. And here I am, so we're right there, and I'm not nervous about it, which is nice. So anyway, that's it for Al at Altruistic Channel. I hope you are blessed. Please subscribe to the channel so we can kind of get this all going. Please engage me as well. Make sure that you're clear of any bad intent or any bullshit, because I am not the nicest person when I feel like you're doing something just for ego. So just understand that there's nothing personal if I go at you. It's just that I'm finding something. And I'm not governing. We collectively are finding something that you're saying, ego-based or whatnot. It's something that will detract us from the actual root cause of what we're trying to endeavor, which is get everybody into a safe, happy existence and a safe space to go into ascension, or to get them through ascension, or even more importantly, to make sense of the process and why it had to go the way it had to go once they've gone through. Because for a lot of people, they may not be the leaders of this, and they may not understand why it had to be so brutal. And so we have to then help them come to terms with it on their own terms. So that's it. All right, guys. My closing thing that I always say is, have you made a mistake today?